Welcome back to the Elias Macko Show, second hour of the program. Before we get to our next guest, another story coming thanks to the OQLF. Just a note on the weather. We're tracking storm systems right now. It could be in the next hour or so. We could get hit with some rain or even a thunderstorm. There is an alert in effect here. And we need you to be our eyes and ears on that thunderstorm watch if you can. So if something happens in your neck of the woods, we're in the corner of Papineau and Rennes-Lévesque. That's our perspective. But if you see something, north, south, east, west, do send us a text message if the weather gets nasty in your neck of the woods, 514-790-0800. Okay, let's get to our top story of the morning. The OQLF, Quebec's language authority, has targeted the Burgundy Lion pub. Apparently, an inspector also has problems with our next guest's last name. Let's go to Toby Lyle, the owner of the Burgundy Lion Pub. Toby, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll get to the problem with the name in a second here, but I think for a lot of our listeners, I always like to know how this goes down. So take me to you being at the pub and how OQLF inspectors, how they approached the situation. What happened?
Well, this actually goes back about 2 years ago where we got a notice that we had to fill in the documentation for our certificat de francisation. And then it all went cold. We didn't hear anything about it. And then finally we got an email, about 6 weeks ago, saying that we had to go through a sort of an audit of our practices, our language practices here at Burgundy Lion. I sat with the OQLF inspector. We had a meeting at the pub. And yeah, he came in. He went over some issues he had. Some of them I wasn't unaware of, and most of them, honestly, I'm happy that he pointed out. There was like a couple words on our website that weren't bilingual; they were just in English, and those have all been corrected. And then he sent me a report. One of the things on the report being that the sign was not acceptable, needed more French on it. I sent him a response. He was on vacation, of course, for 2 weeks, and I just got his response back to that yesterday, where he said, no, you still have to change the sign.
Okay. So they want the sign changed. Now, this is not the first time that the OQLF has gone after your establishment. I'm looking at a story from way back in 2016 where they targeted you over a sticker, one of those TripAdvisor stickers that says recommended, right? And at that time, 2016, did they say anything? I mean, you had the same sign back then. Did they say anything then?
No, I mean, from my understanding, the law has become more robust, and so that is maybe why they're targeting us now. But yeah, no, there was never an issue with the sign in the past.
Have they told you what kind of changes you could make to satisfy, Bill 96 and the new requirements?
Yeah, I mean, it's they want more French on the sign, whatever that may be. Just more French words on the like I said, 17-year-old original sign of the Burgundy Lion Pub.
There's a pub in my neck of the woods in NDG, the Old Orchard, Ye Old Orchard, right? It used to be called Ye Old Orchard, and now it's called Maison Publique Orchard. I imagine because they've had to face a similar situation with the OQLF. Is that what you'll do? Like, push comes to shove here, Toby. Are you gonna say, hey, I'm sticking with my sign? I think there's hefty fines, right? So what happens? Push come to shove.
Yeah, I mean, for now, I'm not changing the sign. That's for sure. We're gonna fight against this a bit. My sign doesn't say Burgundy Lion Pub. It does say Pub Burgundy Lion. It always has. Lion, of course, could be Lyon. Burgundy, in my opinion, the neighborhood is known as Little Burgundy to the locals, right? I know that technically on paper it's called Petit Bourgogne, but it's known by the local population that's been living here for 100 years as Little Burgundy.
Does this come down in your discussions? Does it come down to one word, basically, that it's Burgundy?
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. The pub is fine. The Lyon is obviously fine. It's the word Burgundy, which I maintain is a place name, and it shouldn't be a problem.
So, of course, you've posted about this on Facebook. And one of the things I want to get to, right, is that, as you write, we had a visit from the OQLF, and after informing me that my last name, Lyle, is not a Quebecois name, the agent in question began to pick through what he considered were language violations. Tell me about the name thing here. How does that go down?
That was just in conversation, but it started our meeting on a very, very sour note. He started by asking me how I pronounce my name, and I told him it's Lyle. He said, "Oh, that's not a Quebecois name. Where are you from?" Jeez. And I said, well, listen, my family's from the UK, but I was born in Montreal, so it's a Quebecois name. And then he said, oh, well, my name, I can't remember his last name, but it was, I won't bring it up, but it was, he had a Polish last name. So, well, I'm not Quebecois, my last name's Polish. And I asked him where he was born, and he said Montreal. I said, well, guess what? You're Quebecois, my friend.
Jeez. It's
so, yeah.
Interesting part of that. Now, let me ask you this. The Premier of Quebec, François Legault, he's been doing very poorly in the polls. They lost another by-election on Monday. I don't know if you heard about this, but yesterday he left his offices and just went for a stroll in Quebec and talked to strangers because he wanted to find out what he's doing wrong. He wants to talk to everyday Quebecers. If you could have a conversation with the Premier, citizen to Premier, what would you tell the Premier about what your business is going through?
I mean, I think when the CAC came in, they came in on a pro-business sort of mandate. And then they pivoted very quickly to this, like I said, polarization, where they can demonize certain parts of the population in order to gain popularity in a very Trumpian way. And I'd say go get back to your roots, get back to what you got originally. You campaigned on in your original election, and support local business, support local companies. Don't waste your time with the small aspects when there's a lot of large aspects that need to be addressed.
Toby, did you have any hesitation on posting to Facebook, on accepting our interview request? Because I know there's some business owners, they've got the similar qualms, and they say, I don't want attention or focus. Did you?
Listen, I mean, it's always a risk, right? And like the standard rule, of course, is no politics in bars, and you try to stay away from that. You want to make everyone feel comfortable. But at a certain point, I find that the population has, the Anglophone population or the population in general has gotten a little bit too afraid to voice their opinion in a social media era, and we're not pushing back enough. There's not enough pushback from the general population against the government, the ridiculous rules from the government, and people need to stand up.
Do you think pubs like yours act in certain respects as like an institution for the Anglo community?
I mean, it's not our client base is very francophone as well. We're very, very divided. We have at walks of all ages, from all over the city, francophone, anglophone, allophone, whatever. Yes, we are a British pub. Yes, it's a good place for people from the UK to come watch football and get a little taste of home. But it's also a place where people can experience a little taste of the UK without leaving Montreal. But like I said, our client base is more francophone than it is anglophone for sure.
Toby, what's been the response to your Facebook post, maybe from that francophone clientele and others?
I've had nothing. I don't think I've seen any negative comments. They've all been supportive comments. I'm sure some negative comments will come because that's how the world works. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So far it's all been supportive. Everyone is urging me to fight, giving me some suggestions and on advice on what to do and that sort of thing. So it's great.
Toby, keep up the good fight, and thank you so much for joining our listeners this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
That's Toby Lyle, owner of the Burgundy Lion, Pub Burgundy Lion, and maybe a spot to grab a pint this week.